standing strong and tall. Yeah, this is the bovine coming on the air, sharing the stories of the folks who care. Profiles of passion, voices of the trade, dairy strong legends being made. Yeah, this is the bovine coming on the air, sharing the stories of the folks who care. Profiles of passion, voices of the trade, dairy strong legends being made.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Bovine Podcast. Today I've got a story for you that's just, well, it's one for the books. We've been diving deep into an operation that's not just turning heads, they're rewriting the playbook for what a family dairy farm can achieve in this crazy industry. You've probably heard the name McCarty Family Farms. These are the folks who just got named World Dairy Expo's 2025 Dairy Producer of the Year. And let me tell you, this isn't just some pat on the back. This is recognition for a journey that's taken them from a tiny 15-cow dairy in Pennsylvania to a nearly 20,000-cow powerhouse across multiple states. But it's not just about the numbers, impressive as they are. It's how they've done it, staying true to family values, pushing the boundaries of sustainability, and frankly, showing a lot of us what's possible. So grab a coffee, settle in, because you're going to want to hear how the McCarty magic happened. Our story kicks off way back in 1914. Taylor McCarty, the great-grandfather of the brothers running the show today, starts milking cows near Sugar Run, Pennsylvania. And even back then, they were doing something right. Taylor's small herd actually got recognized by the National Dairy Association for their exceptional butterfat. Ken McCarty, the youngest of the four brothers, shared in an interview that his great-granddad was, and I quote, kind of an innovative guy. He sold tractors when everyone else was still using horse and buggy. Now that's forward thinking for the early 1900s. Fast forward, Ken's grandfather, Harold, expands the herd to about 40 Holsteins. Then, Ken's parents, Tom and Judy, who were actually teachers, can you believe it? They jumped in full-time in 1970. They built a new barn for 150 cows, and by 1981, the Pennsylvania governor was touring their place, calling it one of the most progressive dairies in the state. But here's where so many family farm stories take a tough turn. The 90s hit, and Tom and Judy realized all four of their sons, Mike, Clay, Dave, and Ken, wanted to come back to the farm. Amazing, right? But their Pennsylvania setup just couldn't support that kind of growth. Ken shared in an interview that his dad sat them down and said, and this is a direct quote from Ken, "Hey, we either need to completely change what we're doing, or we need to think about moving, otherwise we're probably not going to survive this." Talk about a crossroads. So what do? After a ton of research, they take this enormous leap of faith. They pack up, buy a wheat farm in northwest Kansas, and start fresh with 250 cows on April 1st, 2000. April Fool's Day. Ken apparently laughs about how many of their big life-changing moves happened on that exact date. And get this, the Pennsylvania operation they left? Ken described it in an interview as wildly inefficient. He said, "We were farming about 1,000 acres on 135 different fields, spread 28 miles one way across the river through multiple towns." Yikes! Plus, they'd already battled through 200-year floods just 3 years apart and weathered the brutal interest rate crisis of the 80s. So, moving west, it wasn't just about getting bigger. It was about survival and giving their family legacy a real future. So, they land in Kansas and things start moving. That initial 250-cow herd quickly grows to 800 as the brothers return. Then, in 2008, something pretty cool happens. A local economic development group in Bird City, Kansas, actually approaches them about building a second dairy. Why? Because they'd seen how dairies could breathe life back into rural communities and schools. Ken explained in an interview, "At the time, we weren't financially capable of taking on that, but through creative financing, where the economic development group took a second position to our primary lender, they made it happen. That's smart community partnership right there." By 2009, they're named Kansas Distinguished Dairy Farm Family of the Year. They keep expanding thoughtfully, adding another spot in Scott City, growing to about 7,000 milking cows. But then 2009 hits the whole industry like a ton of bricks. Remember those milk prices? The McCartys, thankfully, had hedged about 50% of their production. It was a tough lesson that really cemented their focus on risk management, a theme you'll hear a lot in their story. Then, in 2010, the real game changer. A simple phone call about different ways to market their milk leads to this revolutionary partnership with Danone yogurt back then. Ken stated in an interview, "We met with them in April 2010. The vision of a direct supply model immediately aligned between their teams and ours. This was huge. But to make it work, they needed something most dairies only dream of, their own on-farm processing plant. Now, think about this. Most of us, we ship our milk off, and that's the last we see of it. In 2012, the McCartys decide to flip that script. They build an on-farm milk processing facility at their Rexford, Kansas location. Talk about a steep learning curve. Ken admitted with a laugh in an interview, "We had no experience running a milk processing plant prior to 2012. We were heavily dependent on the Danone teams to help us develop our skill set." He also shared that they even hired their veterinarian, who was savvy with process flow and Lean Six Sigma, to help lay the groundwork for managing the plant. And the people they recruited with plant experience? Ken proudly noted in that interview, "Most of those team members are still with us 13 years later." That says something, doesn't it? Initially, that plant was designed for about 500,000 pounds of raw milk a day. Today, they've expanded it to handle up to 2.2 million pounds daily and are currently running about 1.4 to 1.5 million pounds through it from their Western operations. So, why is this on-farm processing such a secret sauce? Well, for starters, they get real-time feedback on milk quality. Imagine knowing within hours, not days or weeks, if there's an issue with components or somatic cell counts. It creates this incredible closed-loop system where the farm team and the plant team are working in perfect sync. The plant condenses milk before shipping it to Danone, it separates and pasteurizes cream, and get this, it even reclaims water from the milk that they then use for cleaning and irrigation. Because of this, they've cut down the number of trucks they need on the road by 75%. That's a massive win for efficiency and for the environment. And this vertical integration has totally transformed their approach to herd health and antibiotic stewardship. Ken explained in an interview, "We have limited the potential milk residue antibiotics that we use on farm to almost zero. Those that we do use are really tightly controlled, typically at one location that is not a milk-producing site. It's our dry cow and calving facility." Smart. Of course, it's not without its own unique challenges. As their cows got more productive, routinely hitting 4.5 to 4.6% butterfat, their processing plant separators, which weren't designed for that richness, actually had to run slower. Ken noted, "Most dairymen, their connection to that separator ends at the back of a milk tanker. We see it all the way through." That's a level of integration most of us can only imagine. So, their Western operations are humming, but the McCartys are always looking ahead. By 2017, even with their expanded processing capacity, they were eyeing new opportunities. This led them east, to Ohio, where they partnered with another fantastic fourth-generation farming family, the Van Tilburgs, creating the McCarty-Van Tilburg Partnership, or MVP Dairy. Ken shared in an interview, "The Van Tilburgs wanted to connect their crops more directly to finished goods. We brought our Danone relationship and dairy expertise. They brought the land and local reputation." That MVP Dairy opened in November 2018, milking about 4,000 cows and shipping raw milk directly to Danone's yogurt plant just 18 miles down the road. And here's what's so impressive about how these guys operate. They took what they learned in Ohio, especially about tunnel-ventilated barn designs, and brought those innovations back to improve their Kansas operations. That's continuous improvement in action. This led to what they call Rexford 2.0. The newest Kansas facility now includes two 120-cow Delaval rotaries with 4 6-row tunnel-ventilated freestall barns feeding each rotary. That's 8 total barns, tail to tail, sharing common feed lanes and manure management. It's all about optimizing cow flow, labor efficiency, and crucially, cow comfort. Meanwhile, they transitioned their Beaver City, Nebraska location into a specialized heifer raising facility. See the strategy? Specialization and optimization at every turn. And through all this, that strong relationship with Danone North America remains central. Now I know what you're thinking. 4 brothers, a massive complex operation, how do they make it all work without wanting to throttle each other? Well, the McCarty brothers seem to have cracked the code. Each one has found his own lane. Ken, the youngest, as he described in an interview, oversees the processing plant, the genetics work, and leads their environmental sustainability and animal welfare initiatives. He did say with a bit of a smile, "My preference is working directly with cows, but I spend a lot more time in front of a laptop than I ever really intended to." I think a few of us can relate to that. His brother Dave? He handles, in Ken's words from that interview, basically everything financial. Banking, budgeting with Danone, overseeing the office team, a more than full-time job, I'm sure. Then you have the 2 oldest brothers, Clay and Mike. They're focused on the farm operations, feed buying, and managing the farming side of the business. Their secret to cohesion? Ken put it simply in the interview. We more or less stay out of each other's areas. It's about genuine respect for each other's strengths and a shared commitment to that family legacy. They've used their complementary skills to build something pretty incredible. And they're already looking to the future, with 11 members of the 5th generation, ranging in age from 8 to 24. The oldest is just starting to join the business after college. Ken acknowledges it's a different world. He and his brothers grew up with a shovel and a pitchfork, but today's dairy industry? It demands tech-savvy, business smarts, and a deep understanding of environmental stewardship. Succession planning is clearly on their minds. Let's talk about people, because any operation this size hinges on a great team. The McCartys employ over 200 team members, and one of the things that really stands out is their commitment to employee care and retention. Ken stated in an interview, "Great employees are the backbone of any successful operation. We strive to offer competitive compensation packages with comprehensive benefits, including health insurance and 401k plans, which helps us attract and retain quality team members." Now, Ken was also upfront that recent inflation has made it challenging to keep pace with rising costs, but their dedication to creating a positive work environment through both compensation and culture remains strong. This approach has fostered remarkable stability in their workforce. Many employees have been with them for 10, 15, even 25 years. In rural communities, that makes them an employer of choice. Their whole management philosophy is wrapped up in what they call their DIRT principles: dedication, integrity, respect, and teamwork. These aren't just words on a wall. They guide everything from daily milking routines to long-term business decisions. They've invested in a full HR team focused on engagement and training, and they lead by example, living by their dad Tom's wisdom. If you ask a team member to be a foot deep in manure, you best be 2 feet. Love that. And here's a clever practice they've implemented, as Ken described. They use third-party remote monitoring not just to spot problems, but to catch employees doing things right. Ken said, "When our remote viewers notice our team members scratching a cow's ear or doing positive things, we use that as training tools." That's how you build a culture of genuine animal care. So how do you manage consistency across multiple sites, multiple states, and all those cows? Ken emphasized in an interview their deep reliance on standardization and protocols. Each farm operates the same synchronization protocols, treatment protocols, breeding strategies, vaccination strategies, he explained. We work with the same nutritionist, use the same training protocols, and consult with the same independent experts. But it's not just about having protocols. It's about standardizing data entry and how things are coded. Ken admitted this took a couple of years to really nail down. Think about it. How do you define a retained placenta? Making sure everyone in their system defined it and entered it the exact same way was crucial for streamlined data analysis and farm management. He said in that interview, "As we've stepped away from day-to-day cow-side activities and into more of a true ownership and management role, that standardization has really made our systems better. As opposed to managing by feel, we allow the data to drive many of our decisions. But, and this is important, they haven't abandoned traditional cow sense. They've augmented it with technology and analytics. Ken even noted that, in some ways, their current team members are even better cow people than he and his brothers were, thanks to that powerful combination of data-driven protocols and hands-on training. It's a fascinating blend of high-tech and high-touch. Now, let's talk sustainability, because this is where the McCartys are truly setting industry standards. In December 2020, they achieved B Corp certification. For those of you who don't know, that's a huge deal. It means they're meeting the absolute highest standards of social and environmental performance, transparency, and accountability. They're one of the very few dairy farms globally to hit this mark. Ken put it this way in an interview. Becoming a certified B Corp amplified our commitment by prioritizing mission-driven collaboration with our partners to drive real, systemic change and create impact at scale. And their sustainability metrics, they're impressive when you stack them up against industry benchmarks. They've achieved a reduction of 8,474 tons of CO2 equivalent. Now, while the dairy industry has decreased greenhouse gas intensity since 1971, total emissions have actually gone up due to production growth. So, the McCartys are significantly outpacing that trend. They implement cover crops on 95% of MVP Dairy's 4,500 acres. That's far beyond typical adoption rates. And their innovative manure management, it aligns with research showing advanced tech can slash GHG emissions from manure by 58 to 80%. They've achieved these results partly through just getting better at what they do, increasing milk production by 14 to 15% without using synthetic growth hormones. Ken explained in an interview, all that has been achieved by improved feeding, milking procedures, and the elimination of stress. Their resource conservation is top-notch too. We learned they worked with Kansas State University to redesign sand reclamation units that now capture over 97% of sand for reuse as bedding. Smart cow cooling systems that don't waste water, continuous evaluation of electrical and fuel use, it's all part of the package. They've even become the first farm in the world to achieve the highest animal welfare status from Validus. And they don't just protect the environment, they actively enhance it. We're talking planted trees, pollinator habitats, over 58 wildlife boxes, and 25 acres of native plants just for pollinators. A 2024 study out of Ireland actually validates their whole approach, showing that implementing climate change mitigation strategies can cut emissions and increase farm net savings. The McCartys are living proof that environmental and economic sustainability can and absolutely should go hand in hand. Okay, so they've got the family dynamics, the team, the operations, and sustainability dialed in. But what about the curveballs? The things you just can't predict. Ken was asked in an interview about the industry's biggest challenges, and his answer was immediate: risk mitigation in an increasingly unpredictable world. They were called black swan events because they were pretty dang rare, he observed, but it seems like black swan events happen about every 6 months anymore. He mentioned consolidation, dwindling consumer connection to ag, geopolitical impacts. Sound familiar? The McCartys' approach? It's all about long-term stability, not short-term gambles. That crucial Danone relationship allows them to take a much longer-term view of management strategies, investments, and risk management, as Ken stated. What does that look like in practice? Securing energy costs years in advance, acquiring more cropland to stabilize feed costs, developing solid relationships with equipment providers to minimize maintenance surprises. Essentially, creating systems designed to weather market volatility. Ken acknowledges that tools like LRP and DRP didn't even exist 25 years ago, so the industry is getting better at managing risk. But it's still a massive challenge to implement comprehensive risk management while juggling the day-to-day chaos of running a farm. Their focus on stability over speculation is a powerful lesson for all of us. So what's a day really like at a McCarty farm? Well, from what we've gathered and from detailed reports from their Rexford operation, it's impressive. The day starts early, of course, but what seems to stand out is the calm, methodical vibe. In the control room of one of those 120-cow rotary parlors, large monitors display real-time data on every single cow: milk flow, yield, conductivity that might flag mastitis, activity patterns. Reports indicate a herdsman might point to a dot on the screen and note, "Her activity spiked last night. She's showing signs of heat. She'll be bred today." It's that seamless dance between technology and deep biological understanding that defines their system. In the barns, that tunnel ventilation creates a comfortable environment, even on a hot Kansas day. Cows are lounging on clean, reclaimed sand bedding, feed lanes are pristine, and the communication between the farm and the processing plant teams, it's reportedly constant. A milk tanker arrives at the plant, gets tested immediately, and those results are back with the farm managers within the hour. Talk about a rapid feedback loop. The commitment to animal welfare is evident in their protocols and certifications. Cows move easily through well-designed handling systems. Employees are trained to use gentle voices and touch when interacting with the animals, and vet protocols prioritize prevention. And their water reclamation system? Ken shared in his interview, "Nothing goes to waste here. That's part of our commitment to being good stewards." It truly is high-tech meeting high-touch. All this dedication, innovation, and sheer hard work culminated in March 2025, when Ken, Mike, Tom, Dave, and Clay McCarty were named World Dairy Expo's 2025 Dairy Producer of the Year. It's the industry's top honor, recognizing excellence in efficient production, quality breeding, and progressive management. So, what really makes them deserving? So many things, but here are a few standouts. That vertical integration model gives them incredible control and stability. Their direct supply relationship with Danone is a model of economic resilience. Their B Corp certification? That's verified commitment, folks. Despite their size, they've held on to those core family values and that hands-on approach. They consistently adopt and adapt technology to make things better. And with that fifth generation starting to come in, they're a textbook case of successful farm succession. Ken was asked in an interview what makes him most proud. His answer was pretty profound. Survival is honestly the thing that I take a lot of pride in. Very few businesses ever make it beyond the first generation, let alone the second or the third. And we've been fortunate enough to survive to the fourth generation, hopefully survive to the fifth, but not only survive, but we've been able to prosper in the dairy industry, and that's a hell of a lot of fun. He also said something that really resonated. To be able to survive and to prosper, and to do it in such a way, in an industry that you actually love being in. I don't feel like I go to work any day. I just get to go do what I enjoy. And when asked about retirement, never. I love what I do. That passion, that genuine love for dairying, it's evident in everything they do. So, what's the bottom line here? What can we all take away from the McCarty success story? First, vertical integration, if you can swing it, even on a smaller scale, can create incredible stability and control. Second, standardized protocols combined with solid data are your best friends for managing complexity and making smart decisions. Don't ditch the cow sense, but give it some high-octane backup. Third, sustainability and profitability are not enemies. The McCartys prove they can and should drive each other. Fourth, for family operations, clear roles and responsibilities are absolute gold. Respect each other's lanes. And finally, thinking long-term, even when the short-term is screaming at you, is crucial for building resilience. We've learned that one of their team members put it this way: the McCartys aren't just building a business, they're building a legacy. And that focus on long-term sustainability, environmental, social, and economic, has put them right at the forefront of our evolving industry. They show that scale and sustainability aren't mutually exclusive. Nearly 20,000 cows, and they're setting industry standards for environmental performance and animal welfare. From everything we've learned about their story, it's not just the incredible growth that's impressive. It's how they've done it, with integrity, relentless innovation, and a genuine commitment to their people, their animals, and the planet. In an era where family farms face so many headwinds, McCarty Family Farms is a powerful testament that with vision, guts, and a whole lot of hard work, The family farm doesn't just have a place in modern agriculture, it can and should lead the way. And that, my friends, is why their recognition as World Dairy Expo's 2025 Dairy Producer of the Year isn't just well-deserved. It's a damn hopeful sign for the future of dairy farming in America. What's the one piece of McCarty magic you're going to think about bringing to your operation? Chew on that one. Thanks for tuning in to the Bullvine Podcast. We'll catch you next time with more insights to help you dominate the dairy game.